Hello everyone. I'm jumping on here live for this week's Body Image Confidential episode. I'm just going to wait a minute to see if anybody is able to jump on live with me or wants to join. And then I'm going to get into this week's topic. They're all really good topics. I think this one has a good one as well. So we'll get started very shortly. Just gonna take a drink of water before we get going. Okay. So I'm gonna get started then with this week's episode. And I'm fixing my hair right now so it doesn't bug me. Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Body Image Confidential. This is episode 6, and in this episode, I'm going to be addressing Kathryn's question. Kathryn is focusing on getting pregnant, and she's a plus size woman, and she's really worried about how doctors are going to be treating her during the pregnancy, particularly if she was to develop any complications during the pregnancy, that they would blame it on her weight. Also, she's a little bit concerned too about, as she gains weight, being attractive to her husband. So I'm going to address both of those separately. And the first one that I want to talk about is the big one here, which is how are doctors going to be treating her being a plus size woman and being pregnant. So we have to just call a spade right at the beginning and realize that our medical system is weight based right now. Our culture is weight based right now. So we are living right now in a culture that looks at fat as bad, almost full stop. There's very few instances where our culture can see beyond this belief of fat being bad. It attributes practically everything to body size. And the truth is that when the research really drills down, they can't find fat itself being the cause. There's correlation. So they show that there's, certain illnesses and things happen to people who are in a larger body size, maybe in a higher percentage than it would be to people who are in a smaller body, but they still can't actually prove that it's being at the higher weight that is the cause. I mean, when you really think about it, what is fat? Fat is one of the primary things that makes up our physical body structure. Fat in and of itself doesn't cause disease. There's a myriad of other factors that are implicating our health that perhaps higher weight may end up being a result of some of that, but it's not the higher weight. And that's what we can't really seem to, as a culture in the medical industry, get beyond. We like to focus on weight because it's something tangible that we can quote unquote do something about. You can actually physically see a reduction in weight, and so then we like that and we say, oh, okay, something's happening. What we can't do, and certainly what is a lot harder to do for people in the medical industry, is to address all of the myriad factors that affect our health, of which 90% of that is chronic stress. So that's a mental and emotional thing that doctors are not actually equipped to handle. So it's much easier to focus on weight. So we need to talk about that, because that's at the root of all of this. It doesn't matter if you're getting pregnant or if you're coming in with any other ailment. The medical system in our culture just hones on and is trained to look at fat being the cause. So here's the thing. The truth is that there is no illness or disease that someone in a fat body can have that someone in a thin body can also not also have. So for example, gestational diabetes may occur more frequently in people who are in a higher weight body, but women who are in a thin body can also get gestation. It's harder for me to say, gestational diabetes. They can also get it. So what's going on there? Like, why is that happening? And then Do the doctors blame the thin person, saying it's your body size and that's why you have gestational diabetes? No, they're likely going to maybe look at another cause, or they're just going to dismiss it. So I want you to just see that like that happens. So there's nothing that happens in the medical field or in pregnancy that doesn't also happen in all body sizes. So we need to just see that that is the dominant belief. Now, here's the bigger issue, and here's actually more the root of this. It's, what are you taking this on to mean? So we are taught that our body sizes is in our control and is either our fault or not. So if we're in a higher weight, we're told that's bad, and we're also told it's our fault. And then we have a lot of negative qualities and characteristics attributed to that. So we take that on as something meaning something about ourselves, that we're not good enough, we're bad, we're a failure, whatever it may be. So, Kathryn, what is getting activated within you when you think about, okay, I'm in a higher body, and if I get an issue, like gestational diabetes, which, by the way, there are many pregnancies for women in higher weight bodies that go perfectly smooth and fine. So it is not even a given that you're going to have any issue. So I would just notice, if the mind keeps focusing on that, you may not have any problem at all. And of course, the doctors will be surprised, because they're also expecting issues in a higher weight body. They're also expecting a lot of negative issues of women who are older. So just to give you an example, I got pregnant when I was 39, and I had my daughter when I was 40. So they were already anticipating a whole bunch of negative, they were like, oh, well, you're older, so all these things could go wrong. I mean, I had a picture perfect pregnancy. I had a textbook pregnancy. So nothing went wrong, even though I was older. So the whole point is that we can't know what's going to happen. But the bigger question is, how are you taking it on? So guaranteed, you have beliefs within yourself that are saying, I'm not good enough because I'm in a higher weight body. I'm bad. I'm a failure. It's my fault. Like, these are kind of the broader ones, but start to notice what is getting activated within you. We're also really taught to see doctors as authorities over us. They know better than us. Now, obviously, we're not trained unless we're a doctor. There's lots of things they know, but they're also not living in our bodies. And we have a lot of intelligence in our bodies. We are the ones connected to it. And a lot of times, doctors are wrong. Lots of times. So they're not, the be all end all. And so it's really, though, the emotional response, right? That's the thing that is upsetting you the most. So notice these beliefs feel bad within you. And those who've been following me for a while will know that I keep saying, when a thought feels bad, that is actually an indicator that the thought that you are thinking right now is not true. It actually goes against what your higher self knows to be true about you. So what's happening, though, is we're taking on this blame, and we're taking on these beliefs and ideas about ourselves that we're somehow wrong or bad, and that's not true. So what if you were to go into this just knowing, I'm walking into this right now where this is a weight-based medical system. They're going to be saying a whole lot of things about what they think could be happening, and they're going to attribute it to weight. And that's just how it is right now. And it also says nothing about me. So this is the deeper work. This is what can take some effort and some time to start to unlearn these beliefs, to do some of this deeper emotional healing work. This is why I do what I do. This is, for those who want to work with me, this is the work that we do, is to separate our worth and value, and noticing what are these subconscious beliefs that are running, or even conscious, that are making us feel bad about ourselves. Okay. Now, the second part of this about being attractive to your husband, there's also that in there too, right? We're taught to believe that fat is unattractive and that it's not bad, and that it's bad. But that is not fact either. It's really not, because there are cultures, in fact, particularly in Africa, um, where larger body sizes are celebrated. Women are very confident in their larger bodies. It's not, it's not a thing. So it's not a fact that fat in and of itself is unattractive. Now, I would also just kind of posit this. Do you need to be attractive to your, like, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but particularly during pregnancy, is this something that is a really matters right now, or a big deal? Is to be focusing on that? I mean, this is a really sacred and special time for you to just be honoring the miracle that your body is doing right now, which would be making a baby. Notice how it's like, what is it? So there's these fears underneath here of like, what is it that you're afraid is going to happen if he doesn't find you attractive? And um yeah, what's tied in there? You know, what's the feeling of like, I need him to find me attractive in order to what? In order to feel valuable, in order to feel loved, like there's this deeper stuff going on underneath the layers. But in the end, this is really about you knowing your own value and worth within yourself, regardless of what other people think, and noting what's getting activated in you. What have you taken on innocently to believe is true about yourself? You know, from doctors, all of this. This is all an internal process. So this is all noticing when there's thoughts that are coming up that are painful. Those are thoughts that are not serving us, even if everybody else around us believes them to be true. I mean, these beliefs are hurting everybody. Like, like it's not helping anybody. Even if we've all bought into these beliefs of like, I'm not good enough if. So what if you could, like, if you could just imagine, if I wasn't worried about this, you know, how would I be feeling, and anchor into that? Okay. So that's what I just want to point out in this is, it's not your fault. And particularly in the beginning of this video, when I talked about, you know, the truth about how weight itself is not the cause of these issues, can you just let that go to the best of your ability? I know that can be challenging, but just notice what you're taking it on to mean about yourself. Okay. Know that, you know, how would it be if I just knew that I was good enough? I'm not a problem. I'm not bad. I'm not wrong. This is not my fault. And just let that go and focus on, how can I be more loving towards myself? You know, how, and so, and this just reminds me, I'm often talking on here about my free 77 mantras for body peace and self-trust guide. Because when we're in our head and we've been programmed with these negative thoughts about fat and our bodies and all this stuff, we're not used to hearing the positive stuff. So I share 77 mantras that are all positive, that we can start to introduce into our minds, that feel good, which tell us that resonates more with the truth. Okay. So if you haven't got that guide yet, and anybody else who's watching this, you can comment